Part 46. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 451. Chapter 451 Yang Xiahua gets married. Sun Yan frowned so hard that he could pinch a fly. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be. The situation outside the customs is complicated. I know that there seem to be dozens of large and small tribes living nomadically. There are often fights over territory, and the big fish eat the small fish. Small fish eat shrimps. Those who really have no way to survive will take the idea of Kiguo border. The Wei tribe is not ranked among the dozens of tribes outside the pass. They can only be chased and killed. Otherwise, King Wei would not use the Black Tortoise Cauldron to trade with the Emperor and plot a permanent settlement. He should know that Wei the tribe does not have the strength to compete with Qi, so what is the point of cheating? Princess Yanjiang's eyes changed instantly when she looked at Sun Yan, and she was a little more appreciative. My sister is absolutely right. This morning we went to pay our respects to the Queen Mother, and the Queen Mother also discussed it with us. Not only the father, the Queen, and the Queen couldn't figure it out, but also the Queen Mother couldn't figure it out. We all couldn't figure it out, and Lan Suivendong and the others insisted that the Suan Wuading was handed over to them by King Wei himself, and it never left their sight along the way, so it couldn't be false. There are only a few possibilities now. First, the Suan Wuading they brought from the Wei tribe was fake, but they did not know it. Only King Wei knew the true situation. Second, they lied. The Suan Wuading given by King Wei was real, but was replaced with a fake one halfway. However, this fraud was a big project and required many craftsmen to participate, because the father said that there was almost no problem with the fake Suan Wuading. Even the weight is exactly the same. The person behind it must have a real Suan Wu cauldron to be able to imitate it so realistically. It's not that I look down on the Wei tribe, but King Ding has just calmed down the border wars and opened up trade between Qi and outside the customs. The Wei tribe is very poor and backward. They don't have such counterfeiting skills, but there are many skilled craftsmen in Qi who can. It can be done, but it will take at least 3 to 5 years, and it will not be accomplished in a short time. Zhao family, Zhang Ning spoke abruptly. Everyone looked at her. Guang Inho, do you mean that this matter has something to do with the Zhao family? Zhang Ning was thinking, his eyes still fixed on one spot. Hypothetically, I assume that Princess Wei is Zhao Yuejiao, and Zhao Yuejiao is the daughter of Zhao Li. It is impossible for King Wei not to recognize his own daughter, that is King Wei. Even though he knew Zhao Yuejiao was not his daughter, he still recognized her and made her a princess and sent her to the capital to get married. This can explain why she didn't panic at all when everyone exposed Zhao Yuejiao's life experience yesterday and wanted to confront King Wu Ya. But why did King Wu Ya do this? What good would this do to him? Sun Yuashan followed Zhang Ning's thoughts and speculated, could it be that King Wei had known Zhao Li before, and there were some ulterior secrets between them? After the border trade was opened, the two met again, and Zhao Li had something in his hand. Suan Wuading, and King Wei knew about it and threatened him. Zhao Li used the fake Suan Wuading to make a deal with King Wei and sent his daughter to the palace by the way. If Princess Wei's original plan is to marry her to King Ding, there may be more fortunes in the future. If that happens, the Zhao family will skyrocket. The more Sun Yuashan talked, the more he felt that his guess was the truth. Princess Yongyang was very excited. Let's go. Let's go into the palace now and tell our father clearly, and ask him to arrest King Wu Ya and Zhao Li's family. I don't believe that we can't find out the true whereabouts of the Suan Wu cauldron. Zhang Ning looked at the two of them and shook his head. These are just guesses. If we can think of it, the Emperor must also think of it. Maybe the Emperor has thought of more than us. Princess, please be patient. Anyway, things have developed to this point, and there is no need for the princess anymore no matter what the impact is, just watch the show in peace. If you mind your own business, it will save you a lot of trouble, right? Princess Yongyang was stunned for a moment, and soon understood what Zhang Ning meant, and sat back down safely. Time flies. After an autumn rain, the sky never cleared up again. The cold wind became colder day by day. When the clothes on the child were put into balls, the snow fell. The snow in Beijing contrasts with the blue bricks and red tiles, giving people the feeling that auspicious snow heralds a good year. Zhang Ning began to call the servants in the house to sweep and hang red lanterns. There have been many happy events in the family this year. First, 2 Jinchis were born, and then the hidden dangers of Beiwei Tower were solved. Now Yang Santi and Yang Xiahua are getting married again. It will be time to celebrate the new year after their marriage is completed. Thinking of this, Zhang Ning couldn't help but be happy, and ordered her grandma to send out the wedding invitation. I still remember that when their family first came to the capital, they only had the Huang family and King Xiaoyao to help them. Now they have 20 or 30 good friends with them, and they move around quite frequently. Half of this is due to Lu Yet. As soon as Grandma Yu took away the wedding invitation, Yang Santi walked in with vigorous steps. On Ayong, I went out with Xiahua for a few days and bought a 5-in-1 house in Shaokangfang in the south of the city. It cost 20,000 taels. That house is even more spacious and exquisite than the Guang'an Marquis mansion. Yang Santi sat down comfortably and let out a sigh. Zhang Ning put down what he was doing and looked up at him. Why do you want to buy such an expensive house? It's not like we don't have room for you to live in. Besides, it's still a long way from the south of the city to the palace, and you have to eat it every day. Isn't this just messing around? It's not that she opposed her son's purchase of a family property, but she felt that the location was not chosen well and was a bit useless. Yang Santi shrugged. It's okay, Xiahua and I have fallen in love with that house. You also know that Xiahua likes to tinker with herbs, so we need to give her a spacious place. The land around our house is very expensive, so we can't buy and sell it at will, almost all have to be distributed by the emperor. Even if I want to buy it, I don't have the ability. In that case, I might as well choose a comfortable house and let Xiahua get married from there. How good. Zhang Ning's face became more solemn. What? Didn't your Uncle Han say that Xiahua should be married from his good friend's house? Is this because he didn't agree? Yang Santi shook his head. Not really, it's just that the other party is now a small military attaché with a small salary and has to support a large family. His wife is also powerful. It's up to us to dress low-key and visit him. The eyes are not eyes, and the nose is not a nose. I don't want Xiahua to suffer in their house, so I might as well take Xiahua out. Zhang Ning was a little speechless. Look at what you did. You are happy, but Xiahua has to have an elder by her side to be decent when she gets married. It's so difficult for her if you put in so much trouble. That's all. It looks like I have to give up my old face and find someone else. Do me a favor. Zhang Ning was hesitant about how to find an elder for Yang Xiahua. She didn't know how this news fell into the ears of Princess Ding. She actually came to the door in person to ask her mother to recognize Yang Xiahua as her goddaughter. Princess Ding comes from the Lu family, a well-known family. Most people from the century-old hairpin family can't reach her. Zhang Ning is naturally happy to come to her in person to make this request. After discussing with Yang Xiahua, Princess Ding's mother will send her off to get married when the time comes. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 452. Chapter 452. King Wei comes to Beijing. All the betrothal gifts were the same as those given when they got married, but Yang Santi knew how to make money and added a lot of good things that he had prepared, so no one was different. A few days before the wedding, Yang Han's good friend received the news and brought his wife to the Guang'an Marquis mansion. The couple learned that Yang Xiahua had recognized the Lu family's mistress as his godmother, and the Lu family was in charge. After her mother arranged the wedding for her, the two of them regretted each other and were sent back by Zhang Ning in despair. With the care of all parties, Yang Santi's marriage went smoothly without any further trouble. After getting married, the young couple still lived in Guanginhou Mansion. Yang Xiahua only occasionally went back to the villa in the south of the city. Life was the same as before, but everyone's name for her changed. From Miss Yang to San Shao Lady. With the addition of Yang Xiahua, this year will be more lively. In his busy life, Zhang Ning had almost forgotten all the bad things about the Hui tribe. It was not until one day in the spring that a burst of iron hoofs woke up the people in the capital from their sleep. Zhang Ning knew that King Ding and his men had captured King Hui alive, and he would soon take them with him. King Hui returned to Beijing. After Sun Yian learned the news, she spent every day guarding the private room facing the street on the second floor of Beiwei Building. She sat there from morning to night. At first, she would make various excuses. As time went by, no one stopped asking. It is noon on this day. The army of King Ding finally entered the city. He was riding a tall horse with a formidable aura, and there was an uncovered carriage behind him. It is said to be a carriage, but it is actually more like a prison carriage. King Hui, with his big shoulders and round waist, was locked inside, with his beard covering half of his face. He kept chattering intermittently in words that no one could understand, with his voice rising and falling. Sun Yian immediately put down the teacup, leaned forward, and listened carefully. Jade Bracelet was very worried. "Second young madam, please be careful, don't get hurt." Su Su ignored the promise and stared directly below, following the movement of the convoy until King Ding and his entourage disappeared. Jade Bracelet intuitively felt that Sun Yian was not in the right mood, and asked anxiously, "Second young madam, would you like some more snacks?" Sun Yian shook his head and wiped the tears from his eyes. "No, let's go back." As soon as the master and servant arrived at the door of their home, they happened to bump into Zhang Ning, who was dressed solemnly and was about to go out. Sun Yian subconsciously asked, "Auntie, where are you going?" "Enter the palace." "Your Majesty ordered all civil and military officials to enter the palace, because it is for King Hui. If you have nothing to do, just stay in the palace and don't go out today." After Zhang Ning explained, he was about to get into the sedan chair. Sun Yian stepped forward to stop me and said sincerely, "Auntie, do you believe me?" Zhang Ning was stunned for a moment, then nodded without knowing why. "You are my daughter-in-law, so I naturally trust you." "Thank you." Sun Yian smiled and said, "I just met King Hui. He was at Beiwei Tower. He is not the real King Hui." Zhang Ning's face changed slightly. "Are you saying that King Ding has arrested the wrong person?" Sun Yian shook his head. "I don't know, but he is a mixed race who is the lowest slave outside the customs. How can he be worthy of being the king?" Sun Yian's eyes were filled with blazing anger, and he was gnashing his teeth as if he wanted to tear King Nahui apart. Zhang Ning realized that something was wrong, so he quickly pulled her to the side and asked in a low voice, "Tell Grandma everything you know, so Grandma can make a better judgment." Seeing that Zhang Ning didn't ask, Sun Yian calmed down and said, "The original name of King Hui is Luo Le. His father is a warrior of the Hui tribe, but his mother is a Han woman of unknown origin. It is said that she was a horse bandit from the border of Qi state. The woman who snatched it from inside had 2 sons with the warriors of the Hui tribe, one of whom was Basil. There was another boy who was ostracized and abandoned by the tribe when he was 5 or 6 years old. Because of his biological mother, no one in the tribe thought highly of him. In order to survive, he found King Hui and became a slave of King Hui. However, the Hui tribe was destroyed in a territorial dispute 20 years ago. Those who surrendered and those who resisted were all killed. So who is the king of Hui? The more important point is." Zhang Ning was stunned. Even King Ding, who had been staying at the border all year round, might not even know about these things about the tribes outside the pass. Her second daughter-in-law actually knew so much. Was this child a member of the Wei tribe before she was reborn? She had all sorts of speculations in her mind, but she finally calmed down, took a deep breath, and said, I know, you go back home first, don't say these things to the second person, wait until I enter the palace to find out. Sun Yan came in obediently. Zhang Ning could not calm down for a long time until he entered the palace and saw the emperor. In the main hall, King Wei straightened his back and spoke loudly in his hometown dialect that no one could understand. King Ding glanced at him and said, King Wei, why didn't you speak Chihuahua fluently when we were outside the pass? Now you can't open your mouth again? Do you want me to starve you for a few days and nights? King Wei was furious, pointing at King Ding and cursing, I am the king of the Wei tribe, and you deceived us about the Suanwei cauldron and humiliated me like this. Scholars cannot be killed and cannot be humiliated. Huh, King Wei knows a lot about our Qi country, Prime Minister Sun joked unhurriedly. King Wei looked at Prime Minister Sun with disdain. The old man quit and pointed at him, how dare you despise me? Bah, you old and immortal thing, King Wu Yak cursed. This rude language and arrogant attitude are exactly the same as Princess Wei. The emperor's face was ashen, and with just one look, Prime Minister Sun became quiet and stepped aside obediently. The emperor looked at King Wei and said thoughtfully, King Wei, King Ding should have told you my purpose of looking for you. What do you have to say? King Wei was anxious at that time, Emperor Qi, I am sincerely on good terms with the state of Qi. Princess Wei is definitely my daughter. I only have this little bloodline, so I can't fake it. As for the Suanwei Ding, it has always been like that, outside the pass. King Ding also knows the situation, and we can't fake it at all. The person who gave you the Suanwei cauldron was a fake. Who is he? The emperor's tone was aggressive and his eyes were extremely sharp. All the ministers lowered their eyes, not daring to look at him. Zhang Ning's thoughts were all on King Wei, but he was not affected at all. King Wu Ya still looked calm and composed, but Zhang Ning didn't miss it. His eyes flickered a few times. It was clear that he was guilty. He knew this. I don't understand what Emperor Qi means. There is chaos outside the pass. The Suanwei Ding was snatched by our Wei tribe from other tribes. Everyone is fighting for it. If you win, you will take over all the belongings of the other tribe, including the tribesmen. If you lose, you will be taken over. They will lose everything. After so many years, the clan members have been dying and running away. Who still remembers where the Suanwei cauldron came from? Moreover, we had little knowledge and did not know what a valuable thing the Suanwei Ding was at the beginning. We just thought that it was so huge that it must not be an ordinary thing, so we used it to offer sacrifices and pray for blessings. It was not until King Ding found the Qinglong Ding outside the pass that we knew the origin of the Suanwei Ding. I have the idea of marrying with Qi state, what's the problem? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 453. His words are hard to find fault with. The emperor looked at King Ding, who frowned and nodded almost imperceptibly. The emperor felt even more depressed. He waved his hand and asked people to take King Wei down. My dear friends, what do you think? The emperor glanced around and saw that no one said anything, and he was about to get angry. King Ding asked hurriedly, Father, aren't there still people from the Zhao family? Zhao Li hasn't entered the capital yet. He has already gone outside the customs, so Zhao Li should have arrived long ago. The emperor said angrily, Zhao Li is dead. Just a year ago, the people I sent out to investigate Zhao Li's affairs took Zhao Li's son Zhao Yongxian and his crazy wife to Beijing. It was delayed for some days. It's probably coming soon. Jiang Ning was a little surprised. He never expected that Zhao Li was dead. In my memory, he was a shrewd and flexible person, and he didn't show any symptoms, so he died suddenly. Jiang Ning couldn't figure it out. She has been trapped by these doubts since she left the palace, but what really trapped her was what Jian said before she died. She still doesn't understand why Jian asked her to be careful about Zhao Li. It seems that she can only waiting for news from the palace. 2 days later, a group of officers and soldiers escorted Zhao Yongxian and MRS Zhao into Beijing. This time Jiang Ning also went to see them. MRS Zhao, who used to have eyes higher than her head and a spotless look, is now skinny and has a blurred vision. It is obvious at a glance that she is not a normal person. Zhao Yongxian is better, but the road is bumpy and he looks a little haggard. The carriage took them to the palace. In the evening, King Xiaoao came. His appearance surprised Jiang Ning. "You are not helping the emperor in the palace right now, why did you run out?" Xiaoao Wang drank a large bowl of water and was a little annoyed. "Don't mention it. Zhao Li's wife is a madman and an idiot. She can't ask anything except a silly smile. When he wanted to torture her, he started yelling as if he had seen a ghost. The imperial doctors went to see her and said that she had been greatly stimulated and had gone crazy. I sent someone to find out, and they said it was related to the loss of her daughter and husband." Jiang Ning squirted the tea in his mouth with a look of shock on his face. "You mean Zhao Yuejiao is also dead? This is impossible. That fake Princess Wei is definitely Zhao Yuejiao and cannot be the second person." Seeing that she was so sure, King Xiaoao comforted her. "Don't worry, the emperor will naturally believe what you say, but the current situation is that King Wei insisted that Princess Wei was his daughter, while Zhao Yongxian said that he did not know Princess Wei, so why not he said that he killed Zhao Li and Zhao Yuejiao, and that he drove his stepmother crazy just to avenge his biological mother. Jiang Ning. He doesn't want to live anymore, he actually admits it." Jiang Ning really felt that the Zhao family was getting more and more confused. King Xiaoao shook his head. Zhao Li's body was dug out, and the emperor also asked people to find out the cause of Zhao Li's death. He couldn't hide it at all, so he had no other way but to admit it. He even admitted the crime of killing his father. Killing his sister is nothing special and there is nothing to hide. I just went to see him and he seemed to be broken and no longer wanted to live. Jiang Ning shook his head repeatedly. "No. I still stick to my own idea. The fake Princess Wei is Zhao Yuejiao. We assume that she is Zhao Yuejiao. Zhao Yongxian and Zhao Yuejiao don't get along, but now he would rather die than cover up for Zhao Yuejiao. Why is this? Unless there is a greater benefit to promote it," King Xiaoao said without thinking. Jiang Ning nodded. "Yes. In my memory, the relationship between father and son is not bad, and Zhao Li relies heavily on this son, and Zhao Yongxian also respects his father. And because Zhao Yuejiao provoked our family, she and her mother after being abandoned by Zhao Li, I heard that she was sent far away. MRS Zhao valued status, glory, and wealth most. Such punishment was the greatest revenge for her. It stands to reason that Zhao Yongxian's revenge has been avenged, and if he kills again, it will be unnecessary. Since Zhao Yuejiao's death was faked, then Zhao Li's death could also be faked. Maybe Zhao Li was the one behind everything." Wing Xiaoao breathed a long sigh of relief. "Your speculation is reasonable, but we have no evidence." Jiang Ning thought of what Sun Yan said and asked, "Did King Ding arrest anyone else besides King Wei?" King Xiaoao nodded. "In addition to King Wei, there are also a number of King Wei's men, but those people are not that important and there are many people. They are all being guarded outside the city." Jiang Ning suddenly became interested. "Your Majesty, can we discuss it? Take me out of the city to see more." King Xiaoao hugged himself warily. "Woman, what are your plans?" "I tell you, there are all people from King Ding. If you want to go, you have to go to King Ding. It's useless to go to me. And you'd better not take the initiative to get involved. The emperor is not very happy now and can find reasons to take it out on others at any time. Zhang Ning was a little reluctant. At this moment, Yang Xiahua came in with a medicine box on her back. Auntie, King Ding just sent someone here and asked me to go outside the city to treat people. I guess I won't be back until tomorrow. Huh? Who did King Ding ask you to treat outside the city? Zhang Ning looked at her helplessly. Yang Xiahua didn't know why, and replied obediently, they seem to be people from the Hui tribe. They have just arrived in the capital and are not accustomed to the climate. Many of them are sick. In addition to them, there are also some army generals who came back with injuries this time. Some of them are injured, some of them were seriously injured, and the military doctors didn't dare to take action, so they asked me to go over and take a look. Those soldiers are the focus. Zhang Ning rolled his eyes and stood up immediately and said, call your second sister-in-law, let's go together. Although we can't do anything, we can still help you. And they are all rough guys. A Niang and your second sister-in-law can go there to be at ease. Auntie, Yang Xiahua blinked and said she didn't understand. She had gone out for consultations before, but Zhang Ning had never taken the initiative to accompany her, but since they wanted to be together, let's do it together. King Xiaoao touched his chin and muttered, I'll send you out. I have another garden outside the city. Where can you stay with me? I have one too, Zhang Ning said, not to be outdone. King Xiaoao waved his hand, chin chin chin. You are a rich woman, so hurry up. The group of people took the Xiaoao prince's carriage out of the city. The journey was smooth and they soon arrived at the place where the soldiers were stationed. Yang Xiahua first went to treat the injuries of several seriously injured soldiers. This busy work lasted until midnight. Although Zhang Ning was using an excuse to help, she was not idle when she came. She handed Yang Xiahua tools and hot water. Too busy to be dizzy. When King Ding came over, he happened to see this scene, and he was very worried. Master Ho. Zhang Ning raised his head and hurriedly saluted, His Royal Highness King Ding. Wang Dingxia gave him a hand and said, the Marquis has a kind heart and saves lives and wounds. No need to be too polite. This time I'm in trouble with the third young lady again. What are you talking about? Wei Chen's daughter-in-law likes to see doctors and save people the most. If you can ask her for help, you trust her. But I can't help myself, so I have to come and get involved. Zhang Ning was a little embarrassed. King Ding only thought that she was modest and did good deeds without asking for credit. Her attitude was even more gentle, so he went to the camp with Zhang Ning to talk. End of chapter. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 454. My father thought that by arresting King Wu Ya and the Zhao family, he would know the whereabouts of the Suan Wu cauldron. Who knew that after working for several months, he still failed to draw water from a bamboo basket. He was very angry and ordered me to interrogate Wu Ya carefully. Wang, Zhao Yongxian, and several adults from the criminal department were all present. They asked for a long time and found nothing. King Ding rubbed his brows tiredly. Zhang Ning comforted him and said, Your Majesty, I believe that the French Open is open to all and there will be no leakage. There must be a flaw in this matter. It's just that the Emperor is too impatient. Everyone is nervous and it is easy to overlook many important points. I can't guarantee it, but Na Princess Ya's identity is guaranteed by her head. She is definitely Zhao Yuejiao. Zhang Ning rambled on about some of her speculations, which were just about her grudges with the Zhao family. She added fuel and jealousy to reasonably arouse her suspicions, and did not dare to go to King Wei's side. These things have been investigated in the palace, so King Ding has no doubts and is just thinking deeply. Yang Xiahua came into the camp with Sun Yan. Your Majesty, the injured soldiers have been taken care of. I have reminded them of the things to pay attention to in the past few days. Where are the people who are acclimated to the climate you mentioned? I read the prescriptions for them. Go back again. King Ding nodded with satisfaction and stood up to lead them personally. These people were brought back by the king. In order to prevent the forces outside the customs from making a fuss about them, the king must save their lives. Yang Xiahua nodded, I understand. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Being acclimatized is not a big problem. While talking, the group came to the camp where the prisoners were kept. You could hear clear moans before entering, but no one hesitated, and they all followed him into the tent. King Ding explained, there are about 20 people here, and there are more than 20 people in the camp next door. It seems that the people of the Wei tribe are really pitiful. Zhang Ning cursed in his heart, and his eyes fell on the first person on the edge. He looked carefully at them one by one. They were all aliens with distinctive appearances, even more special than Ayana. Such a person will definitely attract everyone's attention when walking on the street. Yang Xiahua took a look at a few of the acclimatized people and said to King Ding, their symptoms are similar, almost the same. They can use medicine together. Prepare the medicinal materials early tomorrow morning, cook a large pot and give them to them, and they will take it in 3 days. It can be effective. Thank you very much. King Ding took them out and said, the remaining people's symptoms are about the same, so there is no need to see them. Yang Xiahua was about to agree, but when she saw Zhang Ning winking at her, she mused, doctors must be rigorous to prevent misdiagnosis. Your Majesty, I'd better take another look. Anyway, they're already here, so it won't be too late. King Ding thought for a while, agreed, and asked his followers to take them into the camp next door. There were more people living in this room, and it was very smoky. Many people were sleeping soundly under quilts, and some were moaning. Zhang Ning couldn't see the problem at all. Sun Yan, on the other hand, pointed to a pair of shoes on the ground and whispered in her ear, Auntie, those shoes are obviously smaller than the others. Zhang Ning took a closer look and saw that it was true. He immediately left and asked King Tong Ding, Your Majesty, are there teenagers or half-grown children among the minions of King Wei that you captured? Wang Ding thought about it carefully and shook his head, no, what? Did you find a problem? Zhang Ning said truthfully, I didn't find it, it was my second daughter-in-law. She said that there was a pair of shoes in the tent that were obviously smaller than the others. It would be strange if they weren't half-grown children. King Ding shook his body and rushed in. He took a quick glance and found the bed corresponding to the pair of shoes. He stepped forward and grabbed the person, get out of here. A sharp dagger struck at the front of Prince Ding. Wang Ding avoided it flexibly, held the opponent's wrist holding the dagger with his backhand, struggled with the opponent, and controlled the opponent in a few or 2 strokes. Soldiers also rushed in at this time, pointing their spears at other people from the Wei tribe. Zhang Ning hid in the corner, staring at the face half covered by the beard, and exclaimed, Zhao Yuan why? King Ding was overjoyed and turned to look at Zhang Ning, are you sure it's him? Zhang Ning nodded like a chicken pecking at rice, those eyes are unmistakable. She used to think that Zhao Yuanwei was different from the rumors in the market. It was said that the eyes are the windows to the soul, so she had carefully looked at Zhao Yuanwei's eyes and could not remember wrongly. Let's go, enter the palace. King Ding waved his arms and led a group of people on horseback to rush towards the palace. Zhang Ning on horseback was so frightened that she almost lost half her life. She hugged Sun Yan's waist tightly, sweating profusely, and she didn't even dare to open her eyes. Sun Yan noticed her nervousness and comforted her while controlling the reins, Mom, don't worry, I'm good at horseback riding. As long as you relax, you won't fall. Zhang Ning swallowed hard and responded pitifully. When the group of people arrived outside the city, King Ding showed his token and shouted, King Ding has something urgent to do to meet the Holy Spirit. The soldiers hurriedly communicated, and after a while, The city gate opened wide. Wang Ding took the lead and rushed in on horseback. Zhang Ning felt like she was flying into the clouds again, but her bumpy reminded her all the time that if she didn't let go, she would die in her 30s. Finally arrived at the palace, but before she could catch her breath, she was carried into the Xianzheng Hall by her two daughters-in-law. The whole person is still dizzy and seems to be unable to find the direction. Perhaps her face was too ugly, so the emperor asked Dekang to give her a seat, and then he looked at King Ding. "What's the matter?" King Ding briefly explained what happened tonight. Guang Yinho recognized Zhao Li, and his ministers have already brought him over. "Okay, bring Zhao Li up." The emperor was both happy and angry. Happy that Zhao Li was not dead and was captured. Angry that he sent so many people to Kuzhu Prefecture, but no one found out that the dead Zhao Li was a fake. They are all a bunch of losers. Zhao Li was with 5 flowers and thrown into the Xianzheng Hall. The beard on his face was simply shaved off, and there were still residues, but his face could be seen clearly. This face was a little deep at best, and it still looked more like a Han. "Zhao Li, where is the real Suanwu cauldron?" the emperor said calmly, getting to the point. Zhao Li gritted his teeth and remained silent. The emperor turned the jade ring in his hand and smiled. "You know what? No one in this world dares to disobey me. Since you don't say anything, someone will take Zhao Li to the Ministry of Justice and do whatever it takes to make him speak." King Ding also followed him out. There were only Zhang Ning and her two daughters-in-law left in the palace. She quickly got up and said, "Blessings, Your Majesty, it's late at night. You should go to bed early. I'll take my leave first." The emperor's eyes fell on her, and he saw that her clothes were a little dirty, her hair was messy, her face was still a little frightened, and she was very pale. He immediately smiled gently and said, "Guang Yinho has made another contribution this time. I've taken note of it all. You go back and wash up first, and I'll reward you later when things are over." "Don't you dare." "I'm leaving." Zhang Ning retreated in fear. Sun Yan and Yang Xiahua quickly stepped forward to help. End of chapter. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 455. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law staggered out of the palace, and were personally escorted to the door of their home by the imperial guard Wei Guangxian. The housekeeper hurriedly called for help. Zhang Ning waved his hand. "Don't worry about it at night. Let the cook boil some hot water for us to get rid of bad luck. We'll talk about it tomorrow if we have something to do." "Oops. My old waist almost broke today," she wailed while apologizing to Sun Yan. "It was too chaotic tonight. I told His Highness Prince Ding that it was you who found out there was something wrong with the shoes. I don't know how Prince Ding told the emperor. In the end, it was all my fault. I will go to the palace and talk to the emperor in detail tomorrow." "Don't," Sun Yan quickly stopped. "Auntie, my situation is a bit complicated. To be honest, I don't want to get involved in these things, let alone make meritorious deeds. It's just right that the emperor gives you the credit. That's it. My wife can stay out of the matter, and you must not mention it again. Besides, this is not a big deal. The emperor is all focused on the Suanwu cauldron now, so he probably has no time to care about these small things." Seeing that she was sincere and thinking of her special situation, Zhang Ning nodded and agreed. The next day, the three of them slept until noon before getting up. As soon as she arrived at the main courtyard, she saw Xiao Wang, Yang Santi and Sun Yuashan sitting and drinking tea together. Both of them seemed to be waiting for her. "What? The interrogation is out?" Zhang Ning asked, raising his eyebrows. King Xiao was overjoyed. "No. I say, you are so lucky. This way you can discover Zhao Li's whereabouts and capture him alive. But that guy was very tough and didn't say a word when he arrived at the Ministry of Justice. But King Wei couldn't bear it at first and found something. The emperor has now ordered people to arrest and interrogate Princess Wei. If that woman is Princess Wei, her support will be King Wei. If it is Zhao Yuejiao, her support will be Zhao Li. No matter who she is, they will all be sent to prison. I can't resist it for long. Looking at his confident look, Zhang Ning smiled and said, in this case, we would like to congratulate the emperor in advance. Zhang Ning said this, but he was not so optimistic in his heart. If Zhao Li was seeking wealth, he should not use a fake Suanwu cauldron. After all, the secret of the thing would be exposed sooner or later. It is very likely that he would not be able to get the real Suanwu cauldron, but this no words could come out of her mouth. King Xiaoao sat in the Guang'an Marquis mansion for a long time before leaving. It seemed that he was continuing to work on this matter. Zhang Ning did whatever she was supposed to do and went about her life as usual, but the emperor suddenly ordered her to go to the palace. When Zhang Ning arrived at the palace, he noticed the solemn atmosphere in the Xianzheng hall, and his heart couldn't help but skip a beat. Before she could salute, the emperor said, "Honor Guanjin, Zhao Li said he wants to see you." Huh? Zhang Ning had a question mark on his forehead. The emperor was also speechless. I don't know what his intentions are. I will ask Prince Ding to accompany you to protect him. You try your best to pry his mouth open. I want to know the whereabouts of the Suanwu cauldron. Yes, Zhang Ning was sweating and scolded Zhao Li 800 times in his heart. This is the first time she has been in the prison of the Ministry of Punishment. Although the officials around her reassured her that she was fine, this cramped and depressing environment still made her instinctively disgusted and disgusted. Zhao Li was locked up in the innermost room. When going there, he would pass by the cell where MRS Zhao Yongxian and MRS Zhao were imprisoned. Zhang Ning stopped for a moment outside MRS Zhao's cell, trying to communicate with her, and found that MRS Zhao was responsive, but she was only sensitive to special words. Zhang Ning was very surprised by this discovery. She stopped and flirted with MRS Zhao for nearly half an hour, as if teasing a toy, saying nonsense. King Ding on the side was confused. If he didn't have a good impression of Zhang Ning, he would have wanted to stop it. When Zhang Ning was done playing, the group continued walking inside. King Ding took her to the place where Zhao Li was imprisoned. Zhao Li heard the noise, slowly opened his eyes, saw the person clearly, and suddenly sneered mockingly, "I didn't expect that I would be so smart that I would fall on you. If I had known better, I shouldn't have been so merciful to you." Zhang Ning corrected him with a straight face, "It's not that you are merciful to me, but Xie Yuchen is in charge of Ping'an County and can't get rid of the sand in his eyes. If you want to establish a good person image in front of him, you can't do anything to make him suspicious, and the emperor, the title of MRS Mui just gives me a nice name, but no real power. In addition, since I have no man and a small family background, I will not pose any threat to the Zhao family at all. That's why you despise me from the bottom of your heart, so you only send Zhao Yuejiao to show up when our family holds a banquet, right?" Zhao Li's sinister face drooped when he was told what he was thinking in the center, and he stared at her. The jailer brought a chair. Zhang Ning thanked him and sat down, looking at him with leisurely eyes. "Actually, to be honest, I can't understand. The Zhao family is considered a local snake in Ping'an County. They want money and fame. Your family is the only one there, even if our Yang family rises. Your influence in the local area is not as good as yours, so why do you bother to drag the Zhao family into the quagmire? Ha 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 ha. I'm just a woman with long hair and short knowledge. How dare you understand me?" Zhao Li looked arrogant, with contempt for women in his eyes. Zhang Ning sighed, "But you fell into the hands of a woman like me." Zhao Li fell silent. Except for his distorted face, he remained silent. Zhang Ning smiled and said, "Well, listen to what I say and see if what I say is right. I just met MRS Zhao, that woman you look down on, and she told me many interesting things. I miss you. It's probably not the real Zhao Li. As soon as these words came out, Zhao Li's pupils shrank suddenly, and the shock in his eyes flashed away. King Ding was also dumbfounded. He looked at Zhao Li and then at Zhang Ning. He knew that Zhang Ning had guessed it right. With Zhao Li's reaction, Zhang Ning became calmer, but you have been in Ping'an County for many years, and when did Li Daidao become stiff? I have thought about it for a long time, and combined with Zhao Li's life, I thought of one thing. When Zhao Li and Zhao's father went out on business, they brought back some slaves they had purchased from outside. Not long after that, Zhao's father died suddenly, and Zhao Li began to linger on the bedside. From then on, Zhao's mother was a woman who took care of the house and home. She eventually fell ill and passed away 2 years later. After that, only Zhao Li was left in the Zhao family. Such a serious master who lingers on the sickbed. 2 years later, news came out from the Zhao family that Zhao Li had recovered from a serious illness and was fine, but he still needed to take good care of himself for a year and a half. By the time Zhao Li appeared again, he was already a 15-year-old boy who was discussing marriage. 5 years are enough time for one person to make many small moves. You should use these 5 years to completely control the Zhao family, right? Zhao Li remained silent. King Ding spoke up, there is something wrong with what the Marquis said. There are so many servants in the Zhao family, it is impossible that they cannot recognize their real master. The prince is right. But there is one thing that the prince does not know. The Zhao family has always used local people to do work. They usually hire long-term or short-term workers. Usually, one person will be replaced after a few years. Only one person who is the personal servant of the master. The 2 maids and boys were bought from outside. It is easy to send or kill such a few people. As long as no one makes any noise, they will not be discovered, and they can also gain a good reputation for benevolence. Old God Zhang Ning was talking about many things that she couldn't figure out before. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 456. King Ding was obviously a little surprised. Zhang Ning sighed, the Zhao family's rules are well-intentioned. After all, their ancestors were also farmers. Our ancestors didn't like their descendants to be like officials, so they made the rule of hiring long-term and short-term workers. Unexpectedly, they gave this person a job, got a loophole. But even if he tried his best, something went wrong, and that was Mrs. Zhao. How do you say it? King Ding became more and more curious. Zhang Ning smiled and said, Mrs. Zhao is Zhao Li's distant cousin. She has an appearance of 30,000 miles away. To put it bluntly, she is a poor relative. It stands to reason that we usually avoid poor relatives like snakes and scorpions or find ways to get rid of them, but he has a guilty conscience. After all, he was a fake and did not dare to do things too far. Moreover, he needed to maintain his reputation as a good person, so he kept Mrs. Zhao. I never expected that Mrs. Zhao had so ambitious, and successfully climbed the bed, stirring the Zhao family to jump, and Zhao Li was helpless. Later, Mrs. Zhao gave birth to Zhao Yuejiao. In order to explain to her 2 sons, Zhao Li was very cold to them. However, in the Wei tribe, women are particularly precious existences. This thought has long been engraved in their bones, so the daughter Zhao Yuejiao was more arrogant and indulgent. Otherwise, how could an unfavored daughter develop such a lawless temper? What? He is from the Wei tribe. King Ding was really shocked. Looking closely at Zhao Li's facial features, we found that his facial features were just deeper than those of the Han people, and there was no particularly big difference. Zhang Ning nodded and explained with King Ding, Your Majesty, remember Ayana in Wei Chen's mansion, right? She is a foreign woman and comes from outside the customs. Although Wei Chen does not understand the situation outside the customs, he does know some common sense outside the customs. The reason Wei Chen said he was from the Wei tribe was not groundless. Do you still remember that Lan Suivendong mentioned Princess Wei's life experience? He said that Princess Wei's mother was a Han, so the princess looked just like a Han. But I don't believe this, but it is combined with Zhao Li from the appearance and the reaction of King Wei and Mrs. Zhao. I guess Zhao Li is from the Wei tribe, but his mother is Han. So he was ostracized since he was a child and lived in Qi state. By some chance, he was brought home by the real Zhao Li and his son, but they didn't expect that what they brought back would be a deadly demon. After the opening of trade outside the customs, Zhao Li was able to return to his hometown for a visit. It was probably at that time that he met King Wei again, which led to the series of conspiracies. Ding Wang stared at Zhao Li's reaction without blinking. From his eyes, Ding Wang probably knew that Zhang Ning guessed it right. My heart became more and more shocked. Master Ho, you have said so much and it has nothing to do with the Suan Wuading. What about the Suan Wuading? This is what King Ding is most concerned about. Zhang Ning rubbed his chin and thought, there are no conditions to imitate the Suan Wuading outside the pass. What those people in the Wei tribe said should be true. The only person who has the conditions to imitate the Suan Wuading is Zhao Li. However, Zhao Li did not have the ability to do these things before he was 15 years old, and imitating the Suan Wu cauldron is a big project that requires skilled craftsmen to knock and cannot be discovered. Places with many people must not be considered, and it is not realistic outside Ping'an County. After all, things can't leave under his nose, and there is only one place I can think of to do these things in Ping'an County without anyone noticing. Zhang Ning's eyes were blazing, and the more he spoke, the clearer his thoughts became. King Ding hurriedly asked, where? The mines in the upper reaches of the Wei River, under the Dragon King Temple. Zhao Li's complexion changed drastically, and he struggled desperately. The iron chain was pulled by him, making a rattling sound, and the sound continued to echo in the dungeon. Bitch, you're talking nonsense, bitch. Why are you so excited? Could it be? Zhang Ning stood up suddenly and looked at King Ding with wide eyes. Your Majesty. Not only did he imitate the Suan Wuading under the Dragon King Temple, he also hid the real Suan Wuading there. Only this reason can explain Zhao Li's sudden madness. Wang Ding rushed to Zhang Ning and clasped his fists. Thank you, Lord Marquis. Lord Marquis, please leave for now. I will leave this place to you. Zhang Ning nodded slightly, turned around and walked halfway when she heard Zhao Li's heart-wrenching shouting from behind. She trembled and quickly quickened her pace. She couldn't step into this broken place again for the rest of her life. In the next 2 days, there was no news from the palace. As soon as Zhang Ning's heart stabilized, King Ding came. The look in his eyes at Zhang Ning was a bit complicated and filled with unspeakable jealousy. Did she read that right? The dignified King Ding is actually jealous of her? Is this world turned upside down? Your Majesty, Zhang Ning called tentatively. Prince Ding retracted his thoughts and lowered his eyes and said, thanks to Mr. Ho that day, you took out almost all of Zhao Li's secrets, especially the whereabouts of the Suan Wuading. Mr. Ho also guessed it? Zhao Li broke the jar and threw it, and he could do anything. He said that he was indeed a member of the Wei tribe, and that he and King Wei were brothers from the same mother. However, he was more like his mother and was not accepted by the tribe. He was abandoned early. The herdsmen behind him took pity on him, thinking that he was the Han people secretly sent him to the border of Qi state. He worked as a beggar for a period of time, and was later kidnapped and sold to the Zhao family and his son. At first he didn't think much about it. It was when he got to the Zhao family and saw the wealthy life that he felt more and more unsatisfied, and then he started planning. I won't mention the process, just a little bit. Zhao Li really didn't think about dealing with the Yang family when the Marquis was named Mrs. Mui by his father. But later, when his father named Yu the Marquis of Guanjin, Zhao Li couldn't bear it anymore. After all, the Zhao family used to be the dominant family in Ping'an County. He couldn't bear to be overpowered by others. He wanted to use conspiracy and tricks, but Jiao Peng, who had colluded with him, was defeated. He has too much time to take care of himself, so how can he have extra energy to deal with the Yang family? By the time the private mining incident was over, the Yang family had already gone to Fukan and made good friends with the new magistrate. There was Xia Yuchen in the county and many clansmen in the village. He couldn't pull off any tricks. It was then that he came up with the idea of a Suan Wuading, but at first his idea was very simple. He just wanted to forge the Suan Wuading, keep the fake one with him, and present the real one to the emperor, so as to gain wealth for the Zhao family. But what he didn't expect was that trade was opened at the border, and Zhao Li went back to the Wei tribe. His former brother actually became the king of Wei, and life was difficult. If possible, who wouldn't want to be himself? He was also tired of living under Zhao Li's identity, so he made a plan with King Wu Yat. King Wei recognized Zhao Yuejiao as his daughter, and the Wei tribe came forward to make a deal with the emperor. In this way, his daughter could become a phoenix, and he would become a great hero of the Wei tribe and return in an honorable manner. As for why he should use fake, King Ding gave a wry smile and continued, after the original imitation, he secretly took the fake Suanwu cauldron home and hid it temporarily under the Dragon King temple. He never expected that the mountain collapsed and the emperor even ordered the Dragon King temple to be taken away. Surrounded, he could no longer get the real Suanwu cauldron, so he could only use fake ones to get through. Furthermore, this man's heart is determined to retaliate, and your two families had some quarrels at the beginning. According to Zhao Li's plan, when he left Qi State, it was the day when the Yang family was exterminated. End of chapter. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 457. Chapter 457 Resignation to Start Business. Zhang Ning was so frightened that his face turned pale. King Ding comforted him and said, "These are what Zhao Li said. Anyway, he has been arrested. King Wei has no ability to deploy people in the capital and will not pose any threat to the Yang family. The Marquis can rest assured. Father has already sent people to deliver news to Kuzhu, and will arrange for some more people to help so that the Or and Suan Wuading can see the light of day again as soon as possible." Zhang Ning racked his brains and thought for a while, then said, "Your Majesty, please don't forget that Zhao Li has been running the Zhao family for so many years, and there may be other options, such as Hongfeng Jai." After King Ding left, Sun Yan came out of the darkness and said, "Auntie, is there really something wrong with Hongfeng Jai?" Zhang Ning looked at the courtyard with a deep look, "Who knows? As long as I can think of places, I must not miss them. These are potential dangers and must be eliminated." Sun Yan remained silent. In the next short period of time, King Xiaoao sent people to raid some shops and inconspicuous small households in the capital. Zhang Ning realized that Zhao Li was really powerful. He did not develop the Zhao family's business, but cooperated with many people behind the scenes, and his spies were everywhere. It took a whole year to clean up the royal family. Everyone who had contact with the Zhao family was pulled out of the carrots and brought out of the mud. Many shrimps who had narrowly escaped the bribery case were even captured. The emperor's treasury was inexplicably full. During this year, Lu Ye, Sun Yan, and Yang Xiahua gave birth to a child one after another. Lu Ye gave birth to a girl for her third child as she wished, while Sun Yan and Yang Xiahua were both sons. Yang Santi was so happy to be a father that he went crazy in the house with joy, and even shouted that he would take Yang Xiahua out to do business when she got well. Zhang Ning thought he was crazy and didn't take it seriously at all. Unexpectedly, this guy actually resigned from the Ministry of Household Affairs and was so messy that Shang Feng had to agree. Jiang Ning only found out about this when Sun Yuashan came to Jiang Ning. Is that kid really out of his mind and crazy? When someone has a son, they want to move on to the top and pave the way for the child. But it's better for him to resign after giving birth to a son. Jiang Ning said he didn't understand, and he didn't understand. Sun Yuashan frowned and said, "Auntie, don't say you don't understand. Even I don't understand." I tried to persuade him, but he was determined to do business and said he had been delayed for a long time. The princess also went to persuade Xiahua, hoping that Xiahua would think about the child, but Xiahua actually said that she would take the child with her. Nonsense. Jiang Ning got angry and quickly asked someone to find this unreliable couple. The two of them had obviously discussed it long ago, and they said everything at once before Jiang Ning could ask questions. "Auntie, please stop trying to persuade me. I have always wanted to do business, and making money is what I want to do most. I have already discussed it with Xiahua. We will take the child back to Kuzhu Prefecture so that my father-in-law can take a good look at it." To see the kids, we started from Kuzhu Prefecture and headed north, passing by Tongchang Prefecture. Let's go to the Ming family again, then go to the south of the Yangtze River, and then go to the capital. If you are reluctant to let go of the child, we will give the child to you, and then go to the northwest and leave the customs. This time we will bring more people and goods. If our relatives and friends want to cooperate, they can give me the money. But it must be someone as trustworthy as Brother Nuashan. After all, there are risks in doing business, and those who can't bear the risks should not do it. Yang Santi finished speaking in one breath and took several gulps of water. Yang Xiahua on the side said, "Mom, I know you are worried about us, but we will take the child back to show my father that he will not mess around. When the time comes, I will follow you when we leave the customs, and we can also help the caravan." To a guarantee. Jiang Ning looked at the two of them and saw that they had made up their minds. He smiled helplessly and said, "That's it? Since you have already thought about it, I won't persuade you anymore. If you talk too much, it will make people annoying. But you need to remember that I am not young anymore and cannot bear the pain of a white-haired person sending a black-haired person away. When you go out, remember to protect yourselves. I am waiting for your good news." She is already 41 this year, which is considered an old person in this era when the average life expectancy is only about 60. Ever since she passed her 40th birthday last year, she has felt that she is somewhat powerless. Yang Santi stood up seriously and promised, "Don't worry, Mom, I will protect myself and come back safely." Yang Xiahua also promised, "Auntie, we may not be able to catch up with the autumn festival in Szechuen next year, but if he comes to the capital for the spring festival after the autumn festival, we will definitely be able to come back and reunite with everyone." Speaking of his youngest son who was studying hard in Kuzhu Prefecture, Jiang Ning had a smile on his face. Okay. Now that you have thought about it, let's set off as soon as possible. While the weather is fine, we won't have to worry too much." Seeing that Jiang Ning agreed, Sun Yuashan could only smile bitterly and said, "I thought my aunt could persuade you, but now it seems that she can't. In that case, I wish you all the best, and I will give you the money later." "That's easy to say." Yang Santi smiled brightly and patted Sun Yuashan's arm. Princess Yongyang knew that Yang Santi was going out to do business, and after her consort returned a steak, she went back to the queen, pestered her for a while, and asked for 100,000 taels of silver and 200 guards from the queen. "Leave it to Yang Santi." In Yang Santi's shocked eyes, Princess Yongyang said arrogantly, "I am also involved, but I don't know the way of business, so it's hard work for you, third young master. I will give you the money and people, and you will be responsible for any losses, my lord. You don't have to worry." With the addition of these 200 guards and the 100 thugs trained by the Yang family, Jiang Ning is no longer worried. Seeing this battle, Ayana bit her lip and spoke to Jiang Ning, "Madam, Can I go out with the third young master's caravan to have a look? Huh, Jiang Ning was surprised at first, but then understood. Do you want to find your biological parents? Ayana nodded. I still have some vague memories. I will go and have a look now when I have the chance. If I can't find it, I will admit it. Then I will come back to serve as Xiao's guard. Jiang Ning agreed happily. Ayana went back to pack her luggage happily. Jiang Ning turned around and told Sun Yan about the matter. I think you seem to know Ayana's life experience, don't you plan to tell her? Sun Yan wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes and shook his head. I just think she looks familiar, but I'm not sure if she is the daughter of an old friend. Since she wants to check, let her check. Maybe she can find her relatives. Speaking of this, Sun Yan felt uneasy for a long time. After sending Jiang Ning away, she returned to the house and packed up some gold and silver jewelry. She packed the things and sent them to Ayana. She said earnestly, it's bitterly cold outside the pass. In the past few years, we've gotten through it. People's lives may be better after trade, but they are still not comparable to those of our people in Qi. Take these things, remember, don't reveal your wealth, and don't act alone outside the customs. If you have anything to do, go to the third young master and the third young lady. They are well informed and can help you analyze it. Don't let others deceive you. If you can't find out about your family, just follow the caravan back. The Yang family has a great business and will not lack a bite of food from you. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 458. Chapter 458 The Fate of the Cheng Family. Ayana tilted her head and listened silently, then suddenly asked with red eyes, why is the second young madam so nice to me? Su promised and smiled, my mother doesn't even treat you as a servant, so what's wrong with me treating you as my sister? Ayana shook her head, thank you, sister. You're not coy. Sun Yan smiled with tears in his eyes, and after a long while he muttered, in recent years, many people have returned from outside the customs, and I have also heard some news. During the years when you lived in Qi State, the border wars were tense. Normally, the people are not capable of sending you to Qi. If the other party can do this, there should be some forces outside the customs. If you ask in this direction, you may gain something. Ayana responded obediently. Yang Santi and his party left in midsummer. Not long after they left, the palace also came down with the treatment of King Wei and his party. Zhao Li was burdened with many lives and was also involved in the loss of the Suanwu cauldron. His crime was unforgivable and he was ordered to be executed by the Queen of Autumn. Zhao Yongxian did not report the knowledge and concealed it for his father, and was sentenced to death as an accessory. Mrs. Zhao died long ago in the prison of the Ministry of Punishment and will no longer be pursued. King Wei and his minions were all sent out of Qi State and rushed to the harsher and colder northwest wilderness to fend for themselves. The only one left was Zhao Yuejiao, who married into the Cheng family. Because King Wei recognized her as his daughter, to a certain extent, Zhao Yuejiao was indeed the princess of Wei tribe, and she was not deceiving the king. Moreover, this woman was big-headed and brainless. Zhao Li did not tell her all the plans, and the emperor did not want to go out of his way to people criticized her, but they just ignored her. But the Cheng family knew about Zhao Yuejiao's life experience and knew that all her backers had fallen, so they had no intention of enduring it. Kui Yudi led Cheng Jiaojiao and a group of women and maids into Zhao Yuejiao's yard, and shouted loudly, "Come here. Tie this to my wife and beat her out with sticks." Zhao Yuejiao was shocked and angry, and shouted angrily, "You can't do this. I am Princess Wei whom the emperor has granted marriage to, let's see who dares." "The emperor granted me a marriage." Ha 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 ha. Kui Yudi laughed so hard that tears almost fell. Then her face darkened and she said coldly, "The one who granted my son a marriage is Princess Wei. You are the daughter of a little country squire. You are worthy of entering my house." I tell you, your evil biological father and brother were all sentenced to death by the emperor, and King Wei was also driven back outside the customs. Now you are sent away. Go ahead and make a fuss if you want, I wish the emperor would kill you too. Ha 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 ha. Kui Yudi is confident and has an arrogant and domineering attitude. Zhao Yuejiao was so angry that she almost fainted. She wanted to fight Kui Yudi, but unfortunately, most of the people around her who could be used were gone, and the remaining 2 or 3 couldn't make any waves at all. The result was obvious, she was kicked out of the Cheng family, and Kui Yudi didn't even let her take away a single piece of clothing. Zhao Yuejiao was so angry that she had no idea what to do. She met a man on the way and the man gave her a move. As if she had found a life-saving straw, she rushed straight to the government office and beat the drum to complain. The governor had a headache when he saw her. He wanted to hide but couldn't, so he had to go to court. Zhao Yuejiao angrily accused the Cheng family of various crimes. After speaking, she pulled out the hairpin and committed suicide. At the moment when she was unconscious, there was still a hint of revenge in the corner of her mouth. Among the crowd of onlookers, Tianfeng watched the scene silently. The boy beside him whispered, "Sir, there is poison in that hairpin, she is dead." It was Tianfeng who just stopped Zhao Yuejiao halfway. It was Tianfeng who gave Zhao Yuejiao the golden hairpin and gave her some advice. Zhao Yuejiao knew that a hairpin could not kill anyone, so she immediately followed Tianfeng's suggestion, but she did not know that there was another mystery behind the hairpin. Zhao Yuejiao's fierceness frightened the governor and the people who were watching. When the governor sent someone to find the doctor, Zhao Yuejiao had already lost her breath. The bad behavior of the Cheng family spread quickly in a short period of time. Before Kui Yudi had time to count Zhao Yuejiao's dowry, the Cheng family was surrounded by officers and soldiers and ransacked their home. Cheng Dongjiang was deprived of his honors and would never be employed. Cheng Hong and other men of the Cheng family were banned from taking imperial examinations and expelled from the capital. Cheng Dongjiang saw that everything his organization had calculated for decades was in vain, and he went completely crazy. He cried and laughed at the same time, and died after hitting a pillar in front of the officers and soldiers. Ms. Cheng could not accept the death of her only son in front of her, so she followed him without even taking a breath. And son cried and cried, but she still had a son, so she could not fall. Seeing that the Cheng family had no hope, they could only find someone to use an ox cart to take away the bodies of Ms. Cheng and Cheng Dongjiang, and take their son, and the remaining 2 loyal servants returned home in despair. Over the years, she has lived frugally in the Cheng family, and she has deducted a lot of money from the family for her son. Including the betrothal gifts given to Zhao Yuejiao from the palace, she also dug out many gold pearls and sold them one after another for money. Because the money could never see the light of day, she did not dare to put it in the Cheng mansion. Instead, she found a safe place to place it. Now the money has become her foundation. The other concubines and aunts also went their separate ways, and no one cared about the other. When the officers and soldiers ransacked their home, Kui Yudi ran to the Kui family with her 2 children for help. She shamelessly wanted to enter the Kui family's door, not caring about the lives of other members of the Cheng family. The 3 of them, mother and son, knelt down outside Kui mansion and cried, feeling so miserable. The door of Kui mansion was closed, and no one showed up for a long time. Cheng Jiaojiao refused to be resentful and said, "Mom, my grandparents are too cruel. We are all in this situation. No matter how angry they are, they can't really ignore us." Kui Yudi gritted her teeth and said, "Don't worry, your grandmother loves me the most. She definitely won't watch me suffer. If you continue to be patient, we will be able to go in soon." Cheng Jiaojiao had to continue to persist. However, the mother and son knelt from dawn to dusk, but could not wait until Kui's house opened. Finally, I saw someone coming out, but it was Wang. Kui Yudi didn't care about face at this time, and for the first time she was soft on Wang. Sister-in-law, I know that I did something wrong before, and I already know that I was wrong. Please show your kindness and let me come back. Wang was condescending, covering her face with her sleeves and looking indifferent. If I had known, why would I have to do this today? Kui Yudi, the divorce document has to go through the government office, it's not a child's play. You have no relationship with the Kui family. It's impossible for your father and mother to do it. Goodbye. But for the sake of old friendship, I can still give you some money. Take this money and leave the city as soon as possible. Don't wait for the official to drive you away, which will be even worse. I don't want the money. I don't want the money. I want to see my father and mother. They will never be so cruel. Kui Yudi pushed the money away emotionally. Cheng Jiaoqiao, with quick eyes and quick hands, quickly grabbed the bag of silver in her hand, but now she had no hope of getting any money. There was a sneer in the corner of Wang's mouth. Look, you are not as sensible as a child. Kui Yudi, remember, you have nothing now. All you have is a pair of children. If you are diligent, you can take this money and leave the capital. You can also find a village to buy a few acres of thin farmland, and live a good life. If you don't look away, even the gods can't help you. That's it, just take care of yourself. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fensti. Chapter 459. After Wang finished speaking, he turned around neatly and entered the door, asking the concierge to close the door. Kui Yudi rushed over but missed. She shouted until her voice became hoarse and no one came to open the door. She broke down, cried and cursed. Cheng Jiaojiao had a dark face and looked at Cheng Hong, who was beside himself. She was very angry and said, "Brother, go and persuade Anyang. We must leave the city before the city gate closes. Otherwise, all three of us will be dead tonight. According to the imperial edict, their family will be expelled from the capital. Even if they want to find a place to stay in the city, no one will be willing to take them in. The Kui family has made it clear that they don't care. If they don't leave, the result will only be worse." Cheng Hong looked at a loss, and without thinking much after hearing this, he stepped forward and dragged Kui Yudi away, who was making a fuss. The mother and son only remembered Aunt Sun and the others when they arrived outside the city gate. Cheng Jiaojiao rolled her eyes and asked, "Auntie, where will Aunt Sun and the others stay? That woman has always been treacherous, and she may have left a backup for herself. You are the head of the Cheng family, and you are the home of the Cheng family. Even if she loses, she has to listen to you." Cheng Jiaoqiao, who has never experienced hardship in her life, does not want to do everything by herself like those village girls. She also wants to live the life of a young lady who is being taken care of. Kui Yudi patted her head in frustration. "I've even forgotten about that bitch." After thinking about it, she settled in the nearest town outside the city and spent 2 pennies to finally get some information from a beggar. "The lady you asked about stopped in the town after noon today. They included an old woman, a maid, a driver, and a teenage boy. They bought 2 coffins at the coffin shop and left. The beggar had some reservations about what he said and had no intention of continuing." Kui Yudi frowned in disgust. Knowing that the tiger was at peace, she didn't dare to be as arrogant as before, so she could only hold her breath and take out another 2 cents. Where did they go in the end? The beggar got the copper plate, and his smile deepened a little. They bought coffins to bury the 2 dead people, and then bought some dry food in the town, and walked south. They must have reached the resting place by now. Do you want to catch up? I can't catch up. Cheng Hong quickly grasped the key point. "Auntie, and son, they have money and can buy coffins and dry food. and there are servants who are willing to follow her. That's unreasonable. My wife is not dead yet. Those slaves who have betrayed their master know how to serve others. Kui Yudi clenched her fists viciously, unwilling to believe that what the beggar said was the truth. Why did Aunt Sun still have someone when she had betrayed her relatives and left her family? Want to follow? Cheng Jiao thought carefully and said, Anayang, are they going back to my father's hometown? Are we going to chase them? Kui Yudi shook her head without even thinking about it. What are you thinking? Your father's hometown is in a remote mountain village in Zhuzhou Prefecture. They say that the poor mountains and rivers breed unruly people. How would we survive in that place? How would you get married? Cheng Jiao didn't dare to imagine such a day. She shrank her neck in fear and asked weakly, then where are we going? Kui Yudi thought for a while and found an inn to stay temporarily. There were 100 taels in the purse Wang gave them, which was not much, but quite a bit less. They could survive for a long time if they lived frugally. The mother and son entered the guest room of the inn. Cheng Jiao was tossing and turning in bed, unable to fall asleep. Her mind had never been so clear for a moment. She could not go back to the capital. No one would dare to marry her even if she was married to a small family. When she returned to Cheng's hometown, she would be like those people in her life. Like the village woman who digs food in the fields and works hard all her life, she can't live that kind of life. The Kui family has made it clear that they no longer care about their life and death, and they are even less likely to worry about lifelong matters for her. A Niang is a brainless person, and her eldest brother is unreliable. She really can only rely on herself. Thinking of this, Cheng Jiao secretly wiped her tears and cried all night. She also had an idea in her mind. In the next few days, Kui Yudi and Cheng Hong stayed in the inn complaining about everything, eating and sleeping. Cheng Jiao knew how to go out for a walk. She took off the heavy makeup on her face and put on a coarse cloth and wooden hairpin, which made her look more delicate and charming. Soon she caught the eye of a passing businessman and asked him for 3 after 10 taels of silver. He followed the others. Kui Yudi lay in the room for a long time. It was almost dark and her daughter didn't come to see her. Then she realized something was wrong. She rushed into her daughter's guest room and found that Cheng Jiao was missing. There were only a bag of silver and a bag of silver on the table. Letter. After reading the letter, Kui Yudi burst into tears. Cheng Hong was also shocked by Cheng Jiao's departure without saying goodbye, and was devastated. At this time, the mother and son realized that they could not continue like this. There was only one way in front of them, which was to take the 90-odd taels and the 30 taels given by Cheng Jiao to honestly buy a few acres of thin farmland and a few acres. In this room, I learned from the mud-legged people I looked down on before to work at sunrise and rest at sundown. However, they did not dare to go too far and settled in a small village not far from the capital. The village was on the edge of the official road. It was very fast to get into the city, but the land was not cheap. After buying a field and a house, I lost 60 taels in one fell swoop. The remaining money must be saved carefully, and at least I must marry Cheng Hong a wife. From then on, Kui Yudi often looked in the direction of the official road in a daze. Once a carriage or horse passed by, she would always stand on the hillside and look carefully for a long time, imagining that the Kui family would come to take her back and live a good life again. However, the Kui family's carriage did not arrive, but she met the Ming family's convoy entering Beijing. Mrs. Mingson was sleeping with her daughter in the carriage with her eyes closed. Seeing that the capital was about to arrive, she had to remind you a few more words. Those ladies have told you before, and you also know in your heart that Prince An is destined to be a man in this life. Prince Idol, if you come in, you will stir up the whole Prince An's mansion. The advantage is that the Queen will not care about you, you only need to close the door and live your own life. The disadvantage is that as time goes by, I am afraid that the Emperor and the Queen will not remember you as a person. All you have to do is try your best to be with Guang En. After all, Santi is your nominal brother. He has resigned from office and is doing business and is away from the capital. You often take Prince into Guanzhenhou mansion as a guest and no one else will say anything. There is also your maternal grandfather's family. The Kui family has been a scholarly family for hundreds of years. Your maternal grandfather is Taishi Ling. Your eldest uncle is in the Imperial College. Your second uncle has been away for many years and rarely comes back. However, they are all relatives and the relationship cannot be broken. These two families will take care of you even if your mother-in-law doesn't ask for it. Be sincere and sincere. You must not use tricks on them. Some of the grandmothers nearby have already given you their lists. After entering Beijing, I will take you to visit them one by one. It is up to you how to interact with them. You may not like what a Niang likes, everything still depends on yourself. Ming Jingxiu pursed her lips, revealing a pair of deep dimples, and her beautiful Xinghua eyes were filled with perseverance. Anyang, my daughter has remembered everything you mentioned, don't worry. Mrs. Mingson smiled happily, I'm not worried about you, I'm worried about the Cheng family. On the way here, I heard that the Cheng family was raided, and your aunt must have gone back to the Kui family to make trouble again. I know your grandmother is soft-hearted, so I'm afraid we have left you behind, and we will stay with your grandmother for a while when we come to Beijing this time. We will not look up and see you, even if we avoid it, we will not be able to avoid it. End of this chapter. Dressed as a mother-in-law, she leads the whole family to turn over. Author, Bamboo Fence Tea. Chapter 460. Mrs. Mingson looked bored when she thought of Kui Yudi, mother and son. Unfortunately, she couldn't say much to her daughter, and she felt even more aggrieved. Just when she was bored, the driver suddenly stopped and reported respectfully, Madam, there is a village woman in front of the car stopping the car. She said she is your sister. Mrs. Ming-san looked at Ming Jingxiu in surprise, opened the car curtain, and met Kui Yudi's burning eyes. Kui Yudi excitedly rushed out of the car window and shouted excitedly, Sister, that's great. I've finally waited for you, can you take me home? Mrs. Mingson's heart changed and she kept tapping on the car window with her fingers, Kui Yudi, the Cheng family has been raided. Which house are you going to go to? Kui Yudi's face stiffened, she clenched her fists and frowned, I just lost my husband's family and my mother's family. Don't you want to go back to Kui's family too? What's wrong with taking me for a ride? It is true that a country is easy to change but its nature is hard to change. Mrs. Ming-san shook her head, lowered the car curtain, blocked Kui Yudi's sight, and said indifferently, it's not that great, but the Kui family has severed ties with you, and we are not sisters. Kui Yudi, you came to me because you couldn't enter the city, right? No matter how hard you try, you won't talk down to me. If I bring you in, I'm afraid I will be the unlucky one, right? You are still as selfish as before. Mrs. Mingson revealed Kui Yudi's little thoughts in just a few words, which made her very embarrassed. Just when Kui Yudi thought Mrs. Mingson was going to continue to ridicule her, a package was suddenly handed out from the carriage. The coachman was given a few instructions, and walked up to Kui Yudi with the baggage. My wife told you to give these things to you, and I hope you can remember a few words. Glory and wealth are like the moon in the mirror, in the past I climbed high, the future can also fall into the quagmire, nothing lasts forever, my wife's future is destined, the past is like a cloud, don't think about it anymore, people always have to look forward. When the coachman saw Kui Yudi taking the baggage, he quickly got into the car and drove away regardless of the other party's reaction. Kui Yudi returned home dejectedly holding her baggage in her arms. Cheng Hong was lazily complaining under the eaves, Mom, this farm work is not done by humans at all. I have only been in the field for 2 days, and my hands and feet are blistered. If I continue like this, my son will not be able to hold on. Kui Yudi didn't want to listen to her son's complaints. She took the bag into the house and opened it carefully. Inside were two pieces of material, some gold and silver, and a bag of silver. There are 100 taels of silver, plus the jewelry, there are about 200 taels. She looked at the baggage in trance, and after a while she put it away. When she went out, she said to Cheng Hong, "In the past 2 days, I will find someone in the village to find a wife for you. It's time for you to get married." Cheng Hong's eyes lit up and he nodded quickly, "Okay, okay. Mom, I want it." Kui Yudi has finally seen through it. This precious son is destined to never get up in this life. While there is still some money in his hand, it is only right to quickly marry a capable wife for the family, otherwise both mother and son will starve to death. Ming Jingxia waited until the carriage was far away before curiously asking, "Auntie, it was my aunt who just blocked the road. They didn't go to Kui's house. Does that mean I don't have to worry about my aunt's family?" Mrs. Ming San nodded, her face a little more relaxed. After the carriage entered the city, it went all the way to Kui Mansion. Mrs. Kui, Mrs. Tang, had been depressed recently because of her little daughter's affairs. She became more energetic after hearing the news. "Quick! Invite them in quickly." Mrs. Mingson led Ming Jingxiu through the carved eaves and entered the main hall of Tang's house. "Hospital. Mother. Grandma." Mrs. Tang looked at the graceful granddaughter in front of her with a smile on her face. "We haven't seen her for many years, and she has become a big girl. It's great. I won't go back to Beijing this time." Ming Jingxiu paused and nodded obediently. "I have been bothering my grandfather and grandmother during this time." "What are you talking about? It's too late for me to be happy that you can come over." Tang was cheerful and asked Ming Jingxiu several questions with concern, and then she was sent back to rest. Mrs. Mingson stayed. Tang asked, "You just bring Jingxiu to the capital, can your mother-in-law agree?" Mrs. Ming-san raised her eyelids and sneered, "What if I don't agree?" She wants to tie Jingxiu to her side on the grounds of filial piety, but she also wants to see if she has the ability. Who dares to offend me in the entire Ming family now? The only method she can use is to spread rumors, and my campaign in Tongchang Mansion these years is not a lie. Everyone knows that I am filial and tolerant, and Jingxiu was married to me by the emperor. I was going to marry in the capital. Who would listen to her nonsense? Mother, I brought all the dowry and belongings here this time. After I clean up the other courtyard in the city, I will move in with Jingxiu. I will never go back to Tongchang Mansion." Tang Shi was surprised and happy. She leaned forward and whispered, "What about the Ming family?" Mrs. Mingson smiled nonchalantly, "There is no man in the main Ming family who can stir up trouble. They are almost useless, but there are a few in the side branches who are particularly outstanding, especially the grandson of the one from Mapo Academy. I heard that this time the Jinchi has been released, and there are also 2 candidates from another branch. As long as they are here, the Ming family can't be in chaos. I only need to take good care of Jingxiu, and the rest has nothing to do with me. Anyway, she doesn't have a son. If she hadn't worked hard all these years, the children of the family would have lost their monthly income. Now that she has withdrawn herself, the property left to the family is only enough for them to make ends meet. If they don't make progress, sooner or later, drink the northwest wind." Seeing that her daughter was confident, Mrs. Tang leaned back with confidence and sighed, "If only your sister was half as awake as you are." That day the officers and soldiers raided the Cheng family. I later learned that Cheng Dongjiang hit a pillar and died. The Cheng family, the old woman also followed. She was also Cheng Dongjiang's first wife. Cheng Hong and Cheng Jiaojiao were both legitimate sons and daughters of the Cheng family. After what happened, they didn't want to share the trouble with the Cheng family. Instead, they secretly came to the Kui family to admit their mistake and ask me to take them in. Then a whole bunch of messy things were ignored, and the Cheng family's aunt's son gritted her teeth and brought 2 corpses, children, and servants out of the capital. In the end, my beloved daughter could not even compare to an ant. It was simply joke. Fortunately, you are still here, and I am not too much of a failure in this life. If it weren't for Mrs. Mingson's excellence, Mrs. Tang would really have fallen into deep self-doubt. Mrs. Mingson thought of Kui Yudi she met on the road, shook her head, and briefly explained the matter. Only then did Mrs. Tang know her youngest daughter's current situation, and her uneasy heart calmed down a lot, and she casually talked about the affairs of the Guang'an Marquis. Guang'anho is indispensable for the incident between King Wei and Suan Wuading this time. The emperor recently rewarded the Yang family with a lot of gold, silver, treasures, fields and shops. I heard that the protective wall built by Yang Changlin, the second eldest son of the Yang family, in Kuzhu Prefecture was damaged by this hurricane. It played a big role in reducing the property losses in Kuzhu Prefecture. Longzhen is very happy. There will probably be a bigger reward later, do you know? Tang's eyes were fixed on her daughter. End of chapter.